Business ethics.
Put on your big Hollywood sunglasses and light the torch, because it's cellar time. Welcome to the Crack Cellar. As the prophecy was once drowned in the tears of Final Fantasy fanboys. I'm Two-Spirit Penguin Daniel.
And I am Prophet Broadcaster Nickels.
And today we talk about how flippantly Square Enix has decided to add Yuffie to a re-release of a game that came out last year. Broadcaster Nickels, as you know, in the original FF7, Yuffie didn't even appear till the very end of the fucking game. Given the fact that FF7 Remake is clearly rebooting the storyline from Midgar on, do you have a problem with Yuffie showing up in Midgar now like this?
I have a problem with everything.
Go on.
After 2020, I've decided that there will be nothing that is cherished. There are no more sacred cows.
Nope.
Everything bleeds. And Final Fantasy is just one of those things, sadly. I never thought I'd come to a time where I just am trying to forget about the remake. And I'm just hoping 16 is going to be good. Because there's some good talent behind it, and it looks good. It actually looks like a Final Fantasy. It's new.
Yeah.
But, back to Final Fantasy 7, yeah, Yuffie, the fact that she's a standalone episode, which is something I called a long time ago, just worries me. And I said I thought it was going to be more important characters. I thought it was going to be more of a bigger deal. The fact that their first one is Yuffie, and with another character that never was even in the original game mentioned at all, just totally brand new, just worries me. Because what happens next? What happens if, this might be a pessimistic take, but still, what happens next is if this Yuffie episode is remotely successful and the executives over there are saying, oh, the kids like Yuffie, let's bring her into more places where she wasn't, and give them more, in turn, give them more opportunities to make mistakes with the next installment of the IP. Same thing with Vincent Valentine, who's going to be the next extra character running up in the character log for Final Fantasy VII, and he's kind of a hybrid one, where he's an extra character, but his storyline is directly intertwined with a main arc of the story, and you pass by him. So him coming next in the chopping block for these episodes really worries me. I'm like, now you're getting into territory where you're not just doing these new standoff episodes. You're going to be holding some content hostage from the original game in these episodes.
Well, it's new content, Broadcaster Nickels. They're not
this
holding
time
anything.
around. This time around. What happens when the weapons episodes come out, where you have to, if you want to fight Emerald and Ruby weapon, well, that's an episode.
Yeah, it seems like my worst fears are being realized.
Can you imagine Knights Around and W Summon is a paid package? You want a chocobo farm or breed? That's another $15.
Yeah, originally this was one game. Then, they're like, oh, well, we're going to split it up into multiple games. And there was a rumor that it was going to be 6. Then it was a rumor it was going to be 3. I don't know what the current rumor is. I don't think there's an official word on it. But this precedent that they're now setting with Yuffie is an odd one, because on one hand you can say, well, they're just doing it because it's a special thing with the PS5's launch, and they're not going to do it again because there isn't going to be a PS6. Oh God, I hope there isn't a PS6 before this fucking remake finishes. If there is, we have bigger problems to talk about. But
wouldn't that be insane? Because you could literally say, I heard about FF7 Remake when I was still playing on the PS2, and the PS3 was in the pipe. And then the PS3 came, and it never came. And then the PS4 came, and at the tail end, we finally got it. Part 1. And then by the time Part 2 comes out, not even halfway through the game, PS6 is on the horizon.
Yeah. Yeah, you see the state of play for Sony, and you're thinking, okay, for Square, what do we want to see? We want to see FF7 Remake Part 2. We want to see FF16, more of FF16, and maybe some updates on the next MMORPG, maybe a Final Fantasy 17 that's a new MMO, or I don't know. But what we end up getting is two FF7 mobile games and a re-release of the current chapter of the remake. And I observed the hype around this, and I was baffled. There is serious hype around this, info dump, if you will, and I'm just confused by it. First of all, it's just a re-release with a Yuffie chapter added in, or whatever the hell it is. I doubt it's going to be more than like 4 or 5 hours of content. And you should be a little insulted by the fact that you're not getting Yuffie for free as an early adopter. I pre-ordered FF7 Remake Part 1 a year in advance, Broadcaster Nickels. Yeah. And they're going to try and make me pay $25 for Yuffie? You can go fuck yourselves. All right.
Yeah, I bought the not the really expensive collector's edition, but the $80 one with the 10Ks. I didn't. Mm-hmm. You don't get any discount, or you didn't get any pre-order bonus to get that for free when it eventually came out. Not even the major collector's edition people that paid like hundreds of dollars. Like, yeah. It's just such a burn, dude, nowadays to get treated like that. I don't see how any hype is ever generated, but
yeah,
it is. I think the hype always comes from people that don't pay for things. Like, I think that's the thing I don't really think about sometimes, is that when you're on these social media accounts and stuff, it is a lot of kids and stuff like that don't actually pay their way through life yet. They might have like side jobs, they might have minimum wage jobs or whatever. They're still living with their parents, and their parents are still paying their way most part. Especially if they have a lot of free time to be on social media as it is talking about these things. Yeah. So when they come to the table with these attitudes, like, you got to remember that, like, they don't actually pay for any of this. They're just like, oh, sweet, my parents get to pay $25 for Yuffie.
Yeah. And all that isn't even the worst news that comes out of this.
Yeah, the whole info dump is surrounded by just absolute trash.
Casually, Tetsuya Nomura just, offhandedly says, I'm not doing the second chapter of FF7 Remake. I got Kingdom Hearts 7 to worry about, guys. Get the fuck out. That's basically what he says. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, so you dump 2 mobile games and a re-release, and just kind of submarine in Tetsuya Nomura admitting he isn't even working on the next one. And you're just like, wow. Okay.
Yep.
So
and release the battle royale at the same time. What a spit in the face.
Yeah, a mobile battle royale, by the way, with horrible looking graphics, and it looks like it could be good if they put a lot of effort into it and put it on PC where it belongs. But no, it's a cash grab. Clearly, it's a cash grab.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like a really, really, really low budget League of Legends battle royale.
Yeah.
It
does.
That's what I mean. If you took League of Legends from the top down and turned it into third person or first person battle royale traditional view, then that's pretty much what you're getting.
Or Smite. Like, Smite's a good comparison.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly. Yeah. There's another one that's pretty new too, where it kind of looks like Fortnite, but it's like fantasy. You throw fireballs and ice bolts and shit at each other. You fly all over the place.
I'm falling off the Battle Royale wagon really hard lately. Yeah. I reinstalled Warzone on my PS4 just because I was like, well, I can play it with a little less cheaters than the PC version. I haven't fired it up once. Like, since I installed it, I just like have no interest anymore. And I'm just wondering if this is like what happened to MOBAs in like the early 2010s is what's happening to Battle Royales right now.
I mean, I think cheating is just becoming. I don't think it's that the game's dying. I think cheating is just resurging to such a weird degree because of streaming and the popularity contest and like revenue and like the demand to be a good gamer. You know, it's like it's so weird, but like cheating to us used to be just like this
scarlet letter.
Yeah, it just like when we grew up, cheating was one of two things. It was you're on a single player game, you've demolished the fuck out of it, you just want to have some fun, you're throwing cheats into Doom or something like that, right? Or you're just a loser that can't play like something like an RPG like Final Fantasy 7, for instance, and so you throw your Game Shark in and get your character up to 999 and bug the fuck out of the game just so you can play it, you know? Like that, those were the two like calibers of cheaters. So going forward into the present day when we see like these cheaters on Fall Guys, for instance, cough cough.
I still can't believe that's real. When you told me that someone got caught cheating at Fall Guys, I thought
somebody that makes six figures gets caught, you know, like, but anyways,
that's just peak 2020.
Yeah, but we take our mentalities from the 90s and stuff, and we're just like, what fucking losers? Like, how could you like even begin to start to cheat, let alone on Fall Guys? And but then you really dive into it, and you're like, well, this is their lives. Mm-hmm. This is like their livelihood. Like they need to be a good player in the moment. It's like I can imagine kids right now that are 18, 20, something young, that are like getting into streaming, getting high recognition, being known as like those expert gamers, getting into their late 30s and still doing streaming. God forbid. Hopefully there's something going better in their lives or whatever. But imagine these people that are left behind and still streaming, even maybe even to their late 20s, and they're just not competing with these young kids anymore, right? So they start cheating. That's the type of cheater you're starting to see in this day and age, or is that caliber, you know, like I have to cheat.
Yeah. And it's infected every corner of online gaming to the point where I feel like I'm slowly just reverting back to single player games, and I'm becoming less and less interested in new multiplayer games because it's just like, why waste your time putting hours and hours into a Call of Duty game or any type of game that's competitive when you can clearly see in some of these games that the cheating rate is like incredibly high. And it's like, if you're going to do that, it's almost like you have to cheat too, where it's pointless. And then you start to think about that and it's like, wow, dude, this is going to get bad really quick. Like if this cheating problem isn't stopped, and there's a bizarre lack of urgency on the behalf of developers when it comes to this cheating too. Like this is not new. It's really blossomed in the last year, but cheating has been becoming more and more of a problem for years. These developers don't care. Like they're not doing anything to stop it most of the time. It makes you wonder if the cheating creators are in bed with the developers, and like the developers are like, here, this is how you make your cheat. We get 45% of your revenue. It makes you wonder.
Yeah, dude, I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, now that you say it, the fact that you could say it so fluidly and put it out into the world means that it was a thought that came by many other human beings.
Yeah.
Time again, you know, it's just like, it's just one of the obvious outcomes, you know?
Yeah, it is. Well, before we move on to our preview of another remake, Mortal Kombat, I would like to ask you one question. What do you think of FF7 Ever Crisis, the odd mobile remake of FF7 that combines the world, the original blocky 3D FF7 world from the PS1, but when you go into battle, it puts you in the remake battle system.
A very dumbed down remake battle system. Like it's still like a phone game with like 4
Right.
commands, like burst, defend, attack.
Is it really that
Yeah,
dumbed down?
you didn't see the user interface.
I saw a little bit of it, but I couldn't
Yeah,
tell exactly what was going on.
It's very typical. Let's just put it that way. But
what do you think about that?
I mean, it matters how much it costs. If it's free,
it's not
and
free,
it's filled with monetization grabs,
it's not
I probably won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But if it's, $8-10, maybe $15, like their remakes of Tactics and like 3 and 4 and stuff, then I'll probably grab it and check it out, just because I'm all for a solid single player experience, especially with something that's new, because it is Final Fantasy 7 and it's just attached to so much garbage, like I said earlier, but at least it's something unique. At least it's like them trying to like abridge so many fucking side stories that have plagued the FF7 timeline over the like past decade and a half. So I mean, good on them. I mean, I'm not going to hate on them for it.
Yeah. Well,
especially not the $15 range.
Yeah. My prediction is it's going to be full priced. I think that it's going to be a $50 to $60 game.
On the phone?
Yes, I do. I have a feeling that they are going to rock some boats. The water is going to shift a bit in the ocean. And they are going to come out and say, this is the complete FF7. This isn't just one part of it. This is the complete story with a totally brand new battle system, and try and pump up the fan base and be like, $50, bro. You in? No DLC. You don't have to fucking buy energy to get past a certain point. It's just, here's the game, $50. I have a feeling it's going to be like that. As Martin Lawrence would say in Blue Streak, it's like that. It's like that, Broadcaster Nickels.
Well, it's going to be the fastest 50% off game on the Android store ever. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I do believe that the Battle Royale is going to be free. And I think it's going to have Battle
Royale has to be free. That's the curse of Battle Royale.
It's going to have very bad microtransactions, I think. I think this is going to be where Square goes dark side. With this game specifically, I have a feeling we're going to see buy to win from Square Enix in this game. That's my prediction.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the thing about buy to win is it has to be somewhat successful.
It's Square, dude. They get a print. Dude, FF7 prints money. You know this.
Yeah, true. But it's like, I'm not sure about that statement anymore.
I mean, FF7 Remake sold gangbusters, dude. Why are you questioning its popularity?
No, I'm talking about the phone versions. I mean, look at Diablo, for instance.
Well, I have a feeling when Diablo Immortal is going to be a fucking really huge success. I hope I'm wrong, but I have a feeling it's going to be, and it's going to set a whole.
Well, I'm not going to lie. It looks really good. I just don't like phone games. Mm-hmm. When I saw it, I was actually impressed what they were doing on the phone, but it's not the game itself that I'm saying sucks when in this particular case, Diablo or Final Fantasy VII's Battle Royale, or any mobile game for that matter. It's the absolute necessity to just burden it with monetization. It just they have to do it. It just has to be done. Like you can't. There's no other feasible version of a mobile game developers and production houses can come up with anymore. They're just like, it's going to fit with one of these 3 mobile types of gameplay, and it's going to have chests and gems and passes and skins and I'm just calling back to one particular phone game I've played, but like keys to get into particular types of event dungeons, that let you get way more loot than anybody else does, things like that. It occurs in every single phone game. Think about it. Every single phone game you've played is the same game
the majority of them are straight buy to win.
But they're also the same game. Like when you think about like Clash of Clans and all those other games that like come after, it's just Clash of Clans. When you play that Star Wars game, and I played Marvel Contest of Champions is a different format, but there's another Marvel game that's just like the Star Wars game you play.
Strike
and
Force.
It's just like, yeah, Strike Force. It's just the same fucking game, just with a different skin over it. It's like, I feel like that's all phone games.
There are like 5 phone game archetypes, and each archetype has like 100 versions of it. You're right about that. But I'm not one to defend EA, but I'll just say right now, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes has the best version of that archetype. And in terms of gameplay mechanics.
You're hearing it. That's the sound of a bought-in man right there.
Yeah, I love that game, and it's the only phone game I play. But I feel ashamed when I play it, so I take a shower every day.
At least you feel shame.
Broadcaster Nickels, on that note, are you ready to get to our preview of Mortal Kombat?
I'm actually really stoked.
What's that? You want more Crack Cellar? This is good. Join your lords on Twitter at The Crack Cellar and Facebook.com/The Crack Cellar.
Hey, you over there. Are you a straight-up Chad or a strong woman? Well, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and your favorite podcasting app. Or, if you're a straight-up beta cuck, find us on YouTube with the rest of the Cloud Chasers. And we're back with our preview of Mortal Kombat, the movie, 2021, a remake of the 1990s classic. Or is it? Broadcaster Nickels, I must begin this preview with one very serious question. Did Johnny Cage get Me Too'd out of this fucking movie?
It's a great question. Didn't even pass my mind.
There ain't no Johnny Cage in this trailer. He is not in. I'm going to make a prediction right off the bat. I don't think Johnny Cage is in this fucking movie at all, period. And I'm not happy.
Be problematic, though.
Well, Johnny Cage, I mean, he's big Hollywood sunglasses. He's Harvey Weinstein, dude. That's what Johnny Cage is.
I mean, he is big Hollywood sunglasses, but you need to bite your tongue real quick.
Dude, he's as problematic as Duke Nukem, man. Think about it.
I mean,
do you remember his character from the original Mortal Kombat movie? Like, he's the definition of toxic masculinity.
I feel like Jax is the fucking pinnacle of toxic masculinity. The guy fucking tried firing a bullet at a fucking ice ninja and got his arms torn off.
Yeah. I mean, Jax, Barrett, they get passes, you know. I do really love the fact that they opened up the trailer with Sub-Zero taking Jax's arms. That is a great way to start a trailer for Mortal Kombat.
I like how
movie.
the trailer was just themed with my main boy fucking just wrecking everybody, really. Let's be real here. No one was really taking on Sub-Zero in this trailer.
No, Sub-Zero seems to be... I don't know. I don't want to say he's like the main side character, but it seems like he's featured very heavily in this trailer.
I'm going to call it right now. It's a story of Scorpion versus Sub-Zero, of Sub-Zero killing Scorpion's family and Scorpion becoming the Spectre and like getting revenge, all that crap. And then the movie that we're seeing in the trailer is baked around that. Like these other, like Jax and Sonya and Liu Kang and Kung Lao in the tournament and Raiden and this new guy. Like, I think all that is just going to be really circulating around the core story, which is Scorpion versus Sub-Zero.
Yeah, and it seems like we're finally going to get a legit Sub-Zero Scorpion backstory in a movie.
Yeah,
it's a long time coming.
for sure. Because wasn't this supposed to happen like years ago?
There was like this Sub-Zero versus Scorpion short that came
That's
out.
what it was. Yeah.
And it was strongly rumored that it would result in a movie. And I think this is actually the result of that. I think
Okay.
that they're connected.
Have the same actor, right? That played Scorpion.
I'm not sure about that.
Short? Maybe not.
I'm not sure about that, but I think that this is actually the result of that. It just took longer to happen, but I'm not 100% sure about that. That could be a crackpot theory.
Because I remember that short was being used in dubstep music videos, so this must have been around like 2012, 2013, right? This was a long time ago.
I want to say it came out 2016-ish, 2015-ish, like in that neighborhood, but I'm not sure. One thing I am sure about, though, is that I really like...
dead?
Well...
Go on.
That was dead before... that was like DOA, in my opinion. But the casting in this movie, per the trailer, is really good. I fucking loved Kano. Kano at the end of the trailer... That's just fucking...
I win.
That was just gold. The brief spot of Melina licking her fucking sai, the blood off the sai, she looks fucking amazing as Melina. And of course, Jax. They got a great Jax. I shouldn't be surprised because it seems like Jax is always good. Like, he's like Barrett. It's just like, those two are like the same character, basically. They're super consistent. They're always good. You can dub it. You can sub it. It's good. And in this, again, Jax is, I think, really good. I loved, I can tell he's good just because in this trailer, he utters the most simple line that most people, you'd hear them say it and you'd be like, okay, whatever. And he's like, "It's not a birthmark, Cole." Like, the way he says that in the trailer is just fucking gold, dude. And it's such a basic line.
Because he has fucking soul. Some of these actors in B grade movies. I'm not saying Mortal Kombat's going to be a B grade movie, but it's swinging from that ground, right?
Well, the original was a B grade movie, and I think this is a spiritual remake of the original, just based off of some of the shots and how the fights were set up. It felt very much like trying to pay homage to the original 90s MK movie.
Oh, no doubt.
Not MK2, by the way. When I say that, I'm talking about the original Mortal Kombat movie, not MK2 Armageddon or Apocalypse or whatever that one was.
I thought MK Armageddon, I think is what it was, wasn't that bad.
Really?
Dude, especially
that might be one of our great disagreements in life.
The guy that played Khan it was good in a cheesy way, man. I mean, it was like, I'm not trying to say this is caviar or something, but the guy that played Khan, back in my childhood, I always called him a poor man's Kevin Sorbo, and Kevin Sorbo was kind of a poor man's actor anyways. So,
yeah, the guy who plays Shao Kahn, I liked him too. He was in like the X-Files a lot. He was like a 90s character actor. He was in a whole bunch of stuff I watched.
What was that guy's name?
I forget his name, but yeah, I liked him. But man, I don't want to go too deep into MK2, but the fucking CG was atrocious. Do you remember how bad the CG was?
In both the movies, it was really bad.
The first one at least had heart. The second one was like...
The thing is about the two is the first one, it was cutting edge for the budget they had.
Yes.
When number 2 rolled around, they were still using the same grade as number 1, and times had changed. That's the thing, and it didn't age well.
No, it didn't. But I'll tell you what hasn't changed, and that is the hard R rating that Mortal Kombat gets and deserves. I was a little afraid when I first heard about this movie that they were going to try and do a PG-13 version. I was pleasantly surprised by the trailer. There are like 6 fatalities in the trailer, I think, and there's some pretty gory ones too. So hard R is achieved, and very happy about that.
It's a tragedy to have anything other than a hard R from.
I wouldn't be surprised in this climate.
Mortal Kombat, It's like, why would you even attempt to do a modern day Mortal Kombat unless you wanted to do fatalities and more character depth, which all the characters have gruesome backgrounds, so you're not avoiding anything.
Yeah. And speaking of fatalities, I was very happy to see Liu Kang's greatest fatality in the trailer, the fire dragon that eats the person.
Yeah. Wasn't that actually originally a summon?
No, it was a fatality. I think it came in MK3. I think that's the one that introduced it. It might have been MK2, but I'm pretty sure it was MK3. Either way,
I thought that was like a bestiality or something like that.
Well, there's been so many Mortal Kombats. There's probably been 5 different versions of it by now. But either way, I'm really glad that they're playing up Liu Kang's fire abilities rather than the boring-ass Bruce Lee shit that you'd expect.
Well, don't hold your breath. I mean,
from the trailer, the trailer, every time you saw Liu Kang, he was doing fire magic. Every time you saw him. And the one time he wasn't doing fire magic, he was in a hero shot walking in front of the sun.
In the director's defense, it's kind of hard to imitate Bruce Lee's family now, or Bruce Lee, because his family is like militant nowadays. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's that.
There is that. And just in general, though, the fights looked really good in this trailer. What did you think about the fights in general? Because every fight I saw, I was on board with. I didn't see one cheesy fight in the trailer. And the one with Sub-Zero and Scorpion, especially at the end, was sick.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. What I saw was dope, but it was almost like the X-plays of the new games. A lot of it was slow-mo and cut up and frozen in a trailer. So it's hard to tell if the whole fight scenes are going to be like good. Like it's really hard to tell if the fight choreography is going to be super fluid. I mean, from what I see, it's going to be great, but you never know. There might be some characters like the guy that plays Jax, for instance, or maybe the dude that plays Raiden or Kano, for instance. Like those guys just might end up being terrible fighters because they're just not fighters in real life, and their fight scenes just might end up being terrible.
True.
But no doubt, Scorpion and Sub-Zeros, there's some real ninjas underneath those motherfuckers.
Well, fuck that. Let's get to the real important part of this preview. And boy, can I not believe that Cabal gets in a fucking Mortal Kombat movie before Gambit gets in an X-Men movie.
Yeah,
but here we have it.
What is that?
Here we have it. My favorite character of Mortal Kombat, my main character of Mortal Kombat, Cabal, who is not a popular character. Most people don't like him. Most people don't even remember him. He's a C-level character in most people's eyes. He's special to me, but most people don't give a fuck about Cabal. My shock and awe when I noticed that Liu Kang is fighting Cabal in this trailer cannot be measured in words. I could not fucking believe it. I'm like, are you kidding me? I get to see Cabal, but they've made 8 fucking X-Men movie, and they haven't brought...
They've done Gambit.
They brought Gambit in as a fucking bar crawler who gives some intel for 3 minutes in a fucking Wolverine spin-off movie. That doesn't count, Broadcaster Nickels. Cabal is fighting Liu motherfucking Kang in this trailer. That's a legit role.
That's a legit role.
I can't believe it.
Even if Cabal gets sacked in less than a minute, it's a legit role.
Oh no, dude! My crackpot prediction of this preview is going to be that Liu Kang and Cabal's fight is going to be the best of the entire movie. I have a feeling.
I doubt that.
We'll see.
They're not going to waste type of money and choreograph skill on fucking Cabal and Liu Kang.
Well, I don't think that with the structure of Mortal Kombat, you would think it would be like the second to last boss is Goro and the final boss is Shang Tsung. I don't think this movie is going to follow that format. I don't actually
be in it, right?
I don't think Shao Kahn's in the movie. I think they're going to set up a sequel with Shao Kahn in it. I don't think Shao Kahn will be in this movie.
Goro's going to be in it though, right?
Goro is in it. He's in the trailer.
Yeah.
And my prediction with Goro is that you're not even going to see a real fight with him. I think that he's just like, there's going to be this part where they invade Earth and Goro just is attacking Earth randomly. I don't think that he's going to have an actual Mortal Kombat versus match in this movie.
That'd be interesting. How long is this movie supposed to be?
I have no idea.
Hmm.
I would expect it to be 140-ish.
I mean, with the hype behind this movie and the amount of time it's taken to get it to actually happen, I imagine they have to be setting something up. So,
oh yeah,
but it'd be cool, you know. With the old games, a lot of these bosses were just sitting in the background for a long time. You know, that'd be cool if they paid some type of respect to that. And some of these fights, Goro's just sitting in a chair, or fucking Shang Tsung's sitting in it, because Shang Tsung's in it too. So he's probably going to be the main baddie, to be honest.
And again, Shang Tsung is the MK3 version of Shang Tsung. And I think this is a big, big, big misstep. And it's my biggest criticism of the trailer and the movie in general, as I know it so far. Mortal Kombat 1 had Shang Tsung as like a 150-year-old ancient sorcerer that looked like a Skeletor almost. Like he was super frail. He looked like the ice zombies from Game of Thrones, basically. He looked like one of those. He was this old, frail, 200-year-old magician who sat on a throne and watched as these young fighters fought in front of him. And I think it's a big, big, big mistake not to bring that version of Shang Tsung into this movie.
Oh, well, I mean, is there any other version?
Yeah, the MK3 version they're bringing, which is fine. I like that version too, but it's like, man, we've seen that version so many times. Let's see the OG version. Let's keep this shit OG.
Well, I hope they actually do it at some point in the movie. It'd be sad if they don't actually, because the thing is with this movie is that they're trying to get a lot of new people into it as well. So I imagine they don't want to just make some old tropey Asian guy with a long beard and have a bunch of hipsters call him racist, you know. But because I know why they're avoiding it.
Oh,
don't get me wrong.
You really think that's it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, that's heartbreaking, man.
Well, don't get me wrong. The original Shang Tsung he's like what's his name? Like Lo Pan, you know, David Lo Pan from Big Trouble in Little China. Very stereotypical, you know, like I don't know if it would go well with the new hip modern audience, you know.
God, it's so
I would
funny.
laugh at
I
it,
never thought of that until you just said it. You're right, of course, that he is like that stereotype, but I never thought of him like that until you just brought it up. So I've been playing and watching Mortal Kombat for 30 years, and in those 30 years, wow, I've never had that thought once. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean, that was originally because I think I definitely played Mortal Kombat before I saw Big Trouble in Little China, but I remember seeing Big Trouble in Little China and thinking, oh, dude, that looks just like Shang Tsung.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you know, another criticism I have from the trailer is Raiden. First of all, I get it. I get it. You're bringing in a culturally appropriate Raiden because you're afraid if you bring David Carradine in, you're gonna get fucking bitch slapped by Twitter. I get it. But
rest in peace, David Carradine.
Rest in power. I hope that noose was loosened by God for you.
It was a belt. Let's get the record straight. I love my man, but let's be real here.
I do not like the Raiden I saw in that trailer. He was boring. Didn't do anything. He just shows up and his eyes glow for a second. Like they didn't have the balls to show one of his fights or any like real meaningful spot with him. And his voice, I don't know. I wasn't buying it. I wasn't buying any of Raiden. I like the casting in this movie for the most part, but I think Raiden and Shang Tsung were big missteps. On the other hand, I think the casting of Scorpion, who is Tom Cruise's BFF from The Last Samurai, I love that casting. That's a great casting for Scorpion. When they're showing his like human past, when he was, not a supernatural killer, I loved that scene. That was my favorite fight scene, I think, from the entire trailer, was when he was taking out those ninjas as a human.
Sure, for sure. I mean, I think anytime, to be honest, when they're talking about bringing Shang Tsung back, and it's not Kerry Tagawa, I'm just like, cut, go back to the drawing board because you fucking failed. All right.
And speaking of fails, I love that Scorpion versus Sub-Zero fight at the end, but they have to redo Scorpion's Get Over Here. That was so weak. That was the weakest Get Over Here I've ever heard in my life. I wanted to punch the screen. I was just like, how are you going to do Scorpion like that?
Yeah, dude. Also, this just popped in my head because honestly, my favorite character in MK is Kung Lao. It's always been. I've always slayed with him.
He was OP in MK2, man. Kung Lao was a badass in MK2.
I love that the trailer pretty much just started with the idea that he was the original winner of the MK tournament for the Earthrealm. Mm-hmm. That's something you never really hear about, or they ever really acknowledge in movies or in fandom. I mean, in the games they do, but it's so far gone.
Yeah, it goes to show you sort of the reverence. I don't even really know who's making this Mortal Kombat remake. I haven't looked into it too deeply, but clearly from the trailer, whoever is doing it has a reverence for the original lore of Mortal Kombat. Like things like what you just brought up with Kung Lao are a perfect example of that. You know why that's significant, but most people don't. But the creator does, and that gives you hope for the rest of the movie.
I'll say this though about Shang Tsung one more time. The guy that they got to play Shang Tsung looks like Kerry Tagawa's representation in Mortal Kombat like 8 or no. It's way further than that. It's 11? I think probably 10 or 11, I think. The one where he's wearing like the just like the very thin gold and black vest robe, and he has his chest showing, and he has a pretty like clean cut face with like kind of medium length slick back hair. He's younger in that, like he's obtained a whole bunch of souls. So he's like currently young. Like that's what the actor they got in this new movie looks like. So it's kind of funny. In one way, he does kind of look like Terry Tagawa, but a fake digital version of Kerry Tagawa in a video game.
Yeah. I don't know. As soon as I saw him, he just immediately struck as the MK3 version of Shang Tsung. As soon as I saw him, that's like immediately popped in my head. It's like, oh, this is the MK3 version.
Yeah. And then, I think that's the original young Shang Tsung, right?
Yeah, it is. And then the other thing that makes you wonder about the MK3 influence on this movie is Cabal being in it. Most people don't know who Cabal is. If you said, can you describe Cabal from Mortal Kombat? Almost every single person would be like, no. He's not a big character. And for them to include him over the 50 characters they left out of this movie is crazy to me. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a Stryker cameo somewhere in this movie, because it just feels like it's sort of supposed to be in that MK3 part of the mythos of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. It's funny. Have they actually? I know Cabal's confirmed in this movie. I think, right? Is he actually confirmed in this movie? But in the trailer, that Cabal,
he's in the trailer.
Because the part you're talking about where he comes down with the fire dragon and that dude, that's pretty far away. Like,
oh no, you can see his crowbars, man. It's not far away.
I saw that weapon. I saw the one weapon.
Oh,
and I
know what you're about to say, and I'm going to let you say it. Give me your conspiracy theory on this.
I thought it was Quan Chi. Because I thought like,
that's not what I was expecting. Holy shit!
Because that weapon. Because the one weapon that I saw that was kind of blurry, I was just like, man, that looks like the weapon they gave Quan Chi in 4, I think. So I was like, is that Quan Chi or is that Cabal? Because the thought went through my head too. I was like, man, is that Cabal's hook? But then I don't see anything about Cabal being in this movie.
Okay, here's the thing. It's definitely Cabal's weapons. Those are Cabal's weapons. They are not Quan Chi's weapons. I honestly thought you were about to throw down a Movado conspiracy theory on my ass. I was like, oh shit, is he going to tell me that's fucking Movado?
Oh, I'm going to die. I'm going to die on the inside. I'm going to be like, the Buffaloes didn't go to the Super Bowl.
Scott Norwood.
And fucking
Wide
Cabal was Movado, bitch. That's what you get.
Oh, shit. God, I hope that isn't the case. I'm pretty sure it's Cabal, but I can't say for sure it's not Movado. But dude, can you imagine all the characters they left out and they include Movado of all characters? That would be even crazier than including Cabal in the first place.
That'd be too much explaining, because then they would have to explain Cabal to explain Movado.
Right, exactly.
So we killed him off. He's done. Don't worry about him. What if it was right? What if the Liu Kang dragon summon is right in the beginning, and that is Cabal, and he's just getting killed, and then Movado picks up his girl?
You bastard! How dare you put that juju out there? How dare you?
Or what if it's an origin story for the Burns?
Oh,
think about it. Now I'm doing big Hollywood sunglass fucking storyliners that you should come hire me for. I'm telling you, Hollywood, I'm ready for this stuff.
Broadcaster Nickels, I think you may have just called that shit. We'll see, though, when we do our official review of Mortal Kombat when it airs on HBO Max or whatever streaming service. Because
for the kiddies out there that don't know anything, his favorite character is some Puss Boots guy that fucking got burnt, and then they gave him magical boots so he could run away from all of his problems.
You know who else got burnt? Freddy motherfucking Krueger, bitch. And on that note, Broadcaster Nickels.
At least he haunted people's dreams, you know? He didn't run away.
Wait, dude. Could you imagine a crossover
Freddy Krueger also was in a Mortal Kombat.
Well, I know, like, I'm thinking of a movie, though. Can you imagine a movie crossover with Mortal Kombat Nightmare on Elm Street where fucking Cabal and Freddy Krueger fought each other?
That's the crossover the world needs.
That's as meta as it gets. And on that note, Broadcaster Nickels, Mortal Kombat looks good, but how good does it look? Will you give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or the dreaded side thumb?
I'm giving it a big thumb. A big thumb up.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Thumb Wars, Broadcaster Nickels?
Oh, yeah. Man, do they still do that?
No. I wish they did. I think, dude, honestly, I think if Thumb Wars was released today, it would get Me Too'd. Like, think about how rapey those thumbs looked. Those thumbs were so rapey looking, dude. It'd get Me Too'd so fast. It'd get Me Too'd faster than Johnny Cage was Me Too'd out of the Mortal Kombat reboot. But yeah, I give it a big thumbs up. This looks
Those
good.
were pretty creepy faces. And I mean, it was always like 3 male thumbs around 1 female thumb.
Yeah, exactly.
The ratio is pretty bad. I mean, a thumb war, I mean, they call that a thumb pile. So.
Broadcaster Nickels, are you ready to get to our review of S.A. Corey's The Expanse Season 5?
Final season.
Penultimate season. And we're back with our review of S.A. Corey's The Expanse Season 5. And the creators of this season describe it as the following. In different parts of the solar system, the crew of the Rocinante and their allies confront the sins of their past, while Marco Inaros unleashes an attack that will alter the future of Earth, Mars, and the Belt, and the worlds beyond the ring. Broadcaster Nickels, that hypnosis is bullshit. The events of Season 5 will not alter anything in the worlds beyond the ring. The worlds beyond the ring are like, why didn't you do a season about us instead of this bullshit? That's what they're saying right now, because that was some boring shit, Broadcaster Nickels.
There's not 1 second of a outer ring planet.
No, none. Not any.
One.
And I don't even know where to start with this one. I guess budget. Can you believe the budget downgrade from season 4?
For sure. It really hits you when you see the very end Easter egg. I don't know what you call it, Easter egg. Like, it's not even an Easter egg. It's just like a tease of what the season should have been about. It's floating in the sky. Yep. You're just like, oh, cool, thanks. And it's like the CG is so terrible. You're just like, okay. It's kind of like this real. You realize something. You're like, there was no money in this season.
No.
That's why it was all so close to home. And that's why they killed people off. You know, like everything is just like budget. It screams it in hindsight.
Yeah. There were a few high profile deaths in this season. First off, it's Freddy from The Walking Dead. That's how I remember him. And he got murked by the Belters, and very uneventful death. Shockingly uneventful.
Yeah.
It just kind of
throwaway character.
Yeah. I was a little sad for him. I was like, man, your character, that death, like that was his death in The Walking Dead was 10 times more impactful than his death in The Expanse. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. I actually saw it coming though. In the scene. As far as like the body movement in the scene goes, it was actually really well done because I totally saw the betrayal happen as it was going down. I saw her look really weird at everybody. I was like, what the hell is this bitch doing? And then she like walked out and then stayed in the door frame for a second. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Assassin.
Yeah. I really hated that character too. That chick, as soon as she entered the screen, I'm like, oh God, please go away. And
yeah, well, there was one thing about this season that I noticed immediately. Like I noticed with almost everything that's happening right now. More women, the better. And it doesn't matter if they're throwaway or not. Nonsensical characters that no one gives a shit about, like the one that killed one of the more important characters that people care about. It's decisions like that make you realize that the money's not there and they're trying to get rid of this show.
Yeah. Well, I think that they started filming season 5 with knowledge that season 6 would be the last season. And I think they made a conscious effort to lowball season 5 and save a huge budget for season 6.
That'd be cool.
I feel like the end bonus scene that you were talking about just a few minutes ago, I think that's proof that is the case, because think about the premise they're setting up. Like the original builders of the ring system are going to show up and go to war with the humans for using their shit. That's the impression I get. And if you think about the premise of that, the budget's got to be high, right? You can't lowball the budget for something like that.
It matters. I mean, if they're using the CGI that they used 2 times in season 5, then they'll probably get away with it pretty easily.
Yeah. This was the lowest budget season of the entire run of the show, in my opinion. I think it's lower budget than season 2, which I think was the previous record holder for lowest budget season, which was on the Sci-Fi Channel. So apparently Jeff Bezos is he's not sharing his bison bucks with the Expanse guys, because wow, was this a low budget season.
They got the burn notice of season 5.
Oh, for sure. But in general, the first 3 episodes of this season are one of the hardest drags I've seen in a sci-fi show in so long. Like, it was so hard. It was so hard to get through the first 3 episodes. Nothing happens. It's just like a bunch of exposition, a bunch of bullshit, a bunch of characters you don't like, no CG, no special effects, none of the the space is hard shit that made the first 4 seasons so compelling. Like the way they portrayed space is just like, no, this isn't Star Trek The Next Generation. This isn't a luxury yacht in space. Space is fucking hard. None of that was present in the first 3 episodes. It was just like, I couldn't believe what I was watching a little bit.
What was your favorite part of the season?
Ironically, it was the Earth part. It was
With
the
Amos?
storyline with Amos.
Yeah, dude,
On
it was the
Earth.
best part. It was, dude. I remember when they would cut away from that storyline, I'd be like, "Man, the rest of the show sucks right
Yep.
now. What the fuck's going on right now?"
For sure. Space sucked in season 5.
It was kind of ironic though. The good storyline was on Earth.
Yeah. And another thing that doesn't make the space parts good or better is the tag-along reporter girl who goes with the Rocinante, who was like trying to like fuck James Holden the entire first 3
Yeah.
episodes and like tags along with him on the
Yeah.
She
Other than the-
sucks.
Other than the first 2 episodes where she was kidnapped or whatever and got rescued, what's the point of her?
None.
Like literally none.
She's an NPC.
So weird that they like actually paid that girl to like have like main lines.
Mm-hmm.
She served no slight against her, but there's like no purpose in the storyline. Like it's just a good example of more women the better, apparently.
Well,
like that's a theme right now.
It's either that or it's an example of Harvey Weinstein. We'll let the audience decide on that one.
Thanks, Harvey.
But
really
overall,
bringing down cinema right now.
Overall, I think this is the worst season of The Expanse. What do you think?
Oh yeah, for sure, no doubt.
What was your worst season before this one, if you had that to answer?
Well, definitely wasn't season 4. Season 4 was
awesome.
dope as fuck.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember to be exact because it's been a while since I've seen season 1 through 3, but I know season 1 was out of the park. It was awesome. And I think season 2 was great too. Maybe season 3 was kind of lackluster. I can't remember, to be honest. What was season 3 about?
Season 3 was about them discovering the rings. And it was, honestly, season 3 is one of my favorite seasons.
Oh, season 3 was the one where the jellyfish blooms at the end.
Yeah, and it's the one with Miller, where Miller is like a main character in the head of Holden. Remember?
Yeah.
That
so
was
season
great.
2 probably was the weakest before.
Yep, that same here. Yeah, I'm going to say season 2 was my previous weakest season. I think season 5 makes season 2 look great in comparison.
Because season 2 is what? That's the one where Naomi hid the protomolecule on the missile and shit like that.
Yeah, it's the one where they fly the protomolecule into Jupiter, or was it Jupiter? No, not Jupiter, Venus. I forget what planet it is, but the season, it's like split up. Like there's this part where the protomolecule takes over the space station thing, and then they fly the space station into a planet. I think it was Venus, and it was great. But then, like, that was only half the season, and the other half was like a bunch of political mumbo jumbo garbage with Avasarala. And it was really unwatchable, and that was the reason why I held season 2 in a low regard, because half of it was great, but the other half was horrible, in my opinion.
It's just the way it is.
But the big event, so each season of The Expanse has like a big event, right? Like in the first one, it's like this noir crime drama with fucking Miller investigating the death of Julie Mao, and it leading to the protomolecule with like this crazy final scene of like the tentacles coming down and shit. And it was
hotel scene was super dope.
Oh, it was so good. I love season 1.
Yeah. It's some of the best sci-fi season 1. That's like good sci-fi right there.
Yeah.
You can't.
Season 2's big event is what I just talked about, the space station with the protomolecule taking over, flying into the planet and like creating like this protomolecule planet, which, by the way, they haven't addressed. So I think that season 6 might have something to do with the end of season 2 with that whole thing there. I think that we might revisit that. Season 3, the big event, is discovering the stargates in space with Holden and Miller in his head. Season 4, the big event, is them activating the alien technology on that planet and like activating like the black hole wormhole shit in the like
activating the system. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the big event of season 5, Broadcaster Nickels?
Naomi surviving and Alex dying.
I'm going to tell you right now, that's not what the big event was supposed to be. I know why you say that, because they're more impactful than the actual what the big event was supposed to be. The big event was Marco sending the meteor shower onto the planet Earth and, you know, devastating Earth or whatever. Blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
I mean, that was, I get that. But
that was phoned in as fuck.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
I think phoned in is generous.
What a shitty big event. Like, all of the precedent you set with the first 4 seasons, and you follow it up with this lame ass shit.
What about Madame Sarala's husband dying off camera, and they dedicate so much fucking camera time to her, you know, like sobbing over his death, and like people saying sorry for your loss and all this, and they couldn't have even the slightest scene of him dying or him before he died, just to kind of get his character more relevant with viewers. You know, they're like, hey, remember this guy? You know, like none of that. They're just like, a name, people are sad, we'll fling his thing up there in the digital tombstone fucking crypt thing. That's kind of creepy, I won't lie.
Yeah. And their last interaction before he died was so cringy too. I'll never forget that. Like, he like
they were getting a divorce.
Yeah, he like walked out on her like he was the girl in the relationship. It was so bizarre. It was like watching a gay guy pretend to be in a relationship with a straight woman. It was very weird. Like, it had no chemistry. They had no believability to the fight. Like, it was just really bad. And then we're supposed to believe that she cares so much about him. Like the whole exposition element of season 5 with Avasarala and her dead husband it doesn't work.
Falls flat. You know what? As a great comic would say, why don't you just throw that idea in the pit? Mm-hmm. Okay? Just toss that one in the pit.
But, you know, that wasn't even the worst part of the season. The worst part was the melodrama with Naomi, Marco, and Philip. It was so bad, dude. Like, how many times did you cringe watching the Naomi, Marco, Philip arc in this season?
I mean, some of it was good. I'm not going to lie. Like,
which part?
When she was aboard and she went to go escape. I thought she was committing suicide. Like, they didn't do anything to imply that she was actually going to try to escape at that given point in time. So I actually thought she was going to kill herself. It was kind of like I was like, damn, they're going to kill her off at this moment. At this point, I still thought it was going to be the final season, right? So I was like, oh, this is a final season move, you know? But then she kills one of her childhood best friends and does a pretty epic fucking recovery into a rigged ship, which I thought was pretty cool. The radiation walks, or whatever that was exact. I'm guessing is no atmosphere walks, whatever it is. But she looked like she was close to radioactive material. I'm not quite sure exactly what that thing was.
I don't include that in the melodrama. I'm talking about everything that happens before that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad with like her son and Marco like trying to be a good dad and like frame it like she's a bitch. Like, it's just such a weird.
It was uncomfortable to watch.
It's uncomfortable to watch just because it's like, as a viewer, you know, you're fully aware of how bad and good both characters are, and they're like still trying to convince you that like. I hate moves like that in a storyline where like they're trying to compel the viewer by like, who's this character going to side with, you know? Like, I mean, the viewer already knows full well which character's good and what plot armor is, you know? So it's like, why are you trying to like beat around the bush with like these type of antics? It's weird. I just don't like it. It's never been written well to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really disliked this season. I disliked every part of it. So we talked about, so basically the A plot is Naomi, Marco, and Philip. That is the A plot. The B plot is Amos on Earth. The C plot we haven't talked much about. And that's Alex with the other Mars chick. What's her name? I forget what her name is, but like the commando chick, the Martian commando chick, and they get on that spaceship from Mars and they go to
Christy? No, not Christy.
I forget her name, but I like her and I like Alex, but their arc in this is so bad and I don't understand why.
They really did Alex raw, dude. Like,
it was dumb.
Just made him a shitty father with a shitty attempt to reconnect, and then fucking one last high jeeper run to go save his friend and randomly dies.
Yeah.
Cool.
And and you can be sure of the fact that death was not in the books.
Yeah, I have no idea.
No, I do. I've read all the books.
Oh, wow.
He does not die in the books. That is total it's all fiction. Compared to the source material, it's fiction. That never happened. And they clearly did it for political reasons. And it's just a shame. Like, it's a shame that you get to the end of your show. You have a couple seasons left. Just fucking stay the course. If you believe this guy's a bad guy for whatever reason, well, guess what? The show's going to end in a couple years. Just finish it out the way it's supposed to be. But instead, nah, we're going to get rid of him and we're going to kill him off because he's problematic. And it's just like,
why is he problematic? Isn't he like Middle Eastern? What's his ethnicity?
He got Me Too'd, man.
Yeah,
he got Me Too'd. And it's one of those Me Too's very much similar to, who's a good comparison? I don't really have a good comparison because it's one of the weakest Me Too's of all time. I guess Danny Masterson. It's comparable to the Danny Masterson one. Like, it's
what happened?
Some chick, like, fucking 20 years later came out of the woodwork and said, oh, he was rough sex with me or something. Like, oh, he was too rough. Like, it was rape and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't consensual because he did this and that. And it's like, it's one of those ones where it's like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure you just, decide to have sex with him one night and then later realized he's a celebrity and that you could make money off of accusing him of something. That's what it felt like to me. I haven't read about it recently. This all happened about a year and a half ago, but
really,
either way, I don't care if he's guilty or not. Let me just put it this way. I do not give a fuck if he legitimately deserves what he's getting or if he doesn't. You have a storyline. You casted a character as Alex Kamal. Finish the fucking storyline. Okay, just do the fucking books justice. Do not butcher it because you're offended by the fact that he might be a sexual deviant and did some bad things with some girl that are like gray area, borderline shit. That it's just like, come the fuck on. When does this end? When does this end? Anyone can say anything about anyone at any time. When does this end?
That's so sad to hear that's actually the case.
The sad thing is how dirty they did him in the episodes leading up to his death. Like, his dialogue with Bobby, I just remembered her name.
Bobby, yeah.
His dialogue with Bobby was so bad leading up to that. Like, it was the worst acting in all of the season. Like, it was cringy dialogue. It wasn't because he's a bad actor or Bobby is a bad actor. It's because the writing
was my favorite character.
Yeah,
Alex is my favorite character.
I liked the entire crew of the Rocinante. I liked Alex. I liked Amos. I liked James Holden, even though James Holden's probably my least favorite of the Rocinante crew, but I still liked him. They fucking did him so fucking dirty. And they didn't even give him any good moments leading up to this death. It was like watching someone walk the plank on a pirate ship.
It was so lame how he died, too. Like, what a ride. That was it. Like there was no, there's no foreshadow to his death. It wasn't even a good death. There was no like moment where you're like, oh shit, Alex might be dying here. Like there's none of that. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
So lame. It's a chance we all take when we do hybrid burns. Fucking Holden, go fuck yourself, dude.
Yep. Yeah, cringy. When I was watching that last 2 episodes, I really liked the second to last episode, but man, that ending with him, it wasn't good. And the final episode was actually really bad in my opinion. That being said, the whole season felt phoned in. And the fact that season 6 is the last season makes me feel like, okay, they're saving their money. They're saving their effort. What do you think? If I had to place a bet right now, if you had to place a bet right now, would you say season 6 is going to be better or worse than season 5?
I think it's going to be the same, or it's going to get renewed and it's going to get more budget and it's going to be great. But right now, as it stands, I don't have any hope for it.
It's not getting renewed
on season 5.
It's over. Season 6 is the last season. It's very confirmed. There is not going to be a renewal. It's over. So knowing that it's the final season period, and knowing how good it's been in the past, and knowing how bad season 5 was, what do you like? Could season 6 actually be worse than season 5? Because I feel like there's no possible way.
Hopefully not.
Like, how bad would it have to get for season 6 to be worse? I can't fathom it.
The fact that there is no more extra money in season 6, it's the same amount, if not less.
Mm-hmm.
That's what fucking guarantees it.
Yeah. So what do you think about the final episode basically being like a Netflix after party episode? Like it was very like, oh, well, this happened. Let's talk about it a little bit. Oh, this happened. Let's talk about it a little bit. Like it was so boring and so bad. It was one of the worst episodes in the entire season, in my opinion.
It was super lame. You're talking about when they're all in the lunar base?
The whole thing. Like,
yeah, it was so lame, dude. They're all in dresses and stuff and like living the life. I'm like, what is this? Like, this is like totally against their characters right now. And then Madame Servala just like steps aside like they're the cool, important people to like, come with me. Don't act alarmed. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, you mean the protomolecule got stolen on like a 3rd episode that no one else talked about for the rest of the fucking series? It's just like a problem again. Wow.
Wow.
Like while you're sipping back champagne, it must have fucking slipped your mind or something.
Well, space is hard is a concept very unique to The Expanse. It's one of the reasons I like it so much, and it was missing all the way till the very end, until when Naomi did her little suicide trick that we mentioned earlier, and she does a space jump to the rigged ship that's set to be a trap to attract Holden.
Yeah.
I think this sets up the best part of this entire show. And this is because we go back to all of space is hard.
Yeah.
She is on this ship with no life support except for in one room. It's rigged. It's a bomb. It's rigged to blow up. You go on this little journey with her where she's like trying to figure out a way to stop it. And it's like beautifully written and acted and directed. The whole thing in that ship with her is great. It's one of the best Naomi arcs in the entire show. This is the Naomi arc of the entire show. And there gets to this point where she realizes to fix this, she has to go to a part of the ship that is not shielded by radiation or doesn't have life support or has no oxygen. I'm not exactly sure, like you said, it's hard to know exactly what's going on, but every time she goes on a trip through this part of the ship, she carves a number into the wall like she's in prison, and she's carving days she's been into prison on the wall. It's like that sort of thing. And every time she goes in, she starts to try and change this broadcast recording that's trying to lure Holden to the ship, trying to find a way to make it tell him to not come. And every time she comes back almost dead to the good part of the ship. This was great. This was, other than Amos's Earth arc, this was the season, in my opinion.
That was just really short-lived.
It was 2 episodes, right? I think it was just 2 episodes, but it was great.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think you're kind of touching on an important thing that might make season 5 stick out as a bad season. Just the fact that it's right after season 4, and season 4 was just so much more, and then they just drew it all the way back in season 5. But there was in season 5 particularly, there was no examples other than Naomi's predicament of Hallmark Expanse tropes of space being hard. Like that's why Expanse is good, is all the sci-fi around it is kind of like really built around actual science of how space would be colonized. Like actually having to wear decompression suits and have like fluids injected into you in high G burn situations where you're actually like battling with gunships in space, and actually being able to survive in open space, like Naomi did in this season. Like all that stuff is an example of like how crazy it is, just the simple things, like just trying to like jump from one ship that might be 20 feet away in open space. It's still just death. People think, oh, I can hold my breath. They don't like what they say with the sun being hot. People don't realize space is cold. So it's like it's just cool when you see things like that. And when you saw it with Naomi in this season, you realized how much was lacking. You're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Season's just not really Expanse, is it?
It felt like a fan movie based on The Expanse a little bit. It didn't ring.
It kind of felt like a low budget mini series about like the origin of, or like not the origin, but like building on Naomi's character. Really, that's kind of pretty much what the season was.
They tried to make Naomi the main character of the season, but what ended up happening is Amos was the main character of the season. Accidentally. Yeah. Well, hashtag accidentally Amos. Put that on Twitter.
Man, when he was in the ferry the shuttle, and those bruisers came in to like get insurance, he's like, nah. He's like, well, where are you going? He's like, I'm gonna go take a shower. He's like, they're gonna kill you in there. He's like, I don't like waiting. It's just like it goes into a beatdown montage, slow-mo. I'm like, dude, this guy's insane.
Yeah. Amos is the hidden gem of this season for sure. That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, what is your favorite episode of season 5 of The Expanse?
Probably the episode where Naomi is going through that shit on the ship. That's probably my favorite episode. Was that episode 8? 7 and 8?
Well, she's on that ship. Are you talking about with Marco and?
No, I'm talking about on that in the rigged ship when she makes the jump.
She's on that ship episode 8 and 9.
Yeah, 8 and 9. Yeah. So I'd say probably like I'll pick 8, but really it's those 2 episodes that are my favorite.
Yeah, my favorite episode is episode 9, Winnie Pisake, and it is the.
Is that the name of it?
It is, and it's the second half of the Naomi Savior of Humanity arc, and it's also the second half of the Amos Earth storyline arc, which I think are the 2 best parts of this entire season. So, yeah, episode 9 stands out big time. Like, episode 9 is when, like, those it's a very Walking Dead style episode with the Earth part, where, like, this group of marauders shows up on, like, the compound where Amos and Mao are trying to fix the spaceship. Huh? Yeah, like they're ex-security guards. And they
Pieces
show
of
up.
shit.
Yeah, they show up to shake him down, and like the way that whole episode is played out with Amos and them, like it's so good. The acting is superb, the direction is superb, the writing is superb. It's just perfect. Like that was one of those brief shining moments of this season to me that stood out, and I wish the whole season could have been like that, but most of it was not even close. That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, what is your least favorite episode of season 5?
I think it would be episode 1 or 2. Which one is the episode where she meets her friends in the bar? Is that episode 2? Naomi, she meets her old Belter friends.
Oh yeah, that's episode 2.
Yeah, that episode. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Nothing happens in that episode.
Nope.
Even when she meets her long old friends, that black chick's like staring her down like she's an evil bitch. I'm like, well, why does she hate her? Guess what, fans? You never find out.
Nope.
She almost tells a character that has no relation to her later on in the story, but doesn't get quite to it and then gets hit over the head. Good for her.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now that episode 2 is the runner-up to my least favorite episode. It's very up there. But my least favorite is actually 3. So 3 has a few things that happen. It's the episode where the Belters steal the proto-molecule from Fred and murder Fred. It's also the episode where Naomi first starts to interact with Marcos and her son, Philip. And this episode, it's called Mother. And it's the mother of all pieces of shit. It is a piece of shit. This episode was boring. I remember when I finished watching this episode, I actually thought to myself, should I keep watching this season? It was so bad. Because they blew their load and it wasn't good. It's like when a character like Fred dies, you would think that would be one of the highlights of the season. It wasn't. It was a black mark on the season. Stuff actually happens, but it's not impactful. It's not eventful. It does not have any consequences. It feels exhibition. It feels like an exhibition episode that's supposed to have all of the stakes of the Red Wedding, but has only the stakes of like a preseason football game in early August. It makes no sense other than the fact to just propel this little family squabble storyline with Naomi and to just kill off Fred because he was too expensive to appear in the rest of the show. I don't know. Wasn't good. Wasn't a good episode. I think it's the worst. That being said, Broadcaster Nickels.
What they did to my boy. Look what they did to my boy.
Here in the Crack Cellar, as you know, we have a segment called The Hit, the Miss, and the Whiff. Broadcaster Nickels, what is your hit?
My hit would be the rocks on Earth. Oh, too soon. No.
Are you telling me you smoke rocks?
Here at the Crack Cellar, we have an exclusive brand of rock merchandise. I think the hit, honestly, would be Amos. I think Amos's character got a really cool arc. Maybe not the hit itself was Amos, but Amos's little character story arc was really cool. I liked him coming down to Earth. I liked the idea of him being trapped on Earth afterwards, after the event, and him, like, his whole story was like getting back to outer space and like going through refugee camp and just saying fuck it with Jewel Pierre Mao's other daughter, the super soldier, which I thought was never going to come back, which I thought was pretty cool. She's like an X-23 like character. Pretty dope.
Yep.
So I thought the team up and potential relationship between them was pretty cool. Like progressing the compound of that lone gunner, that was all. It was all really cool stuff, and especially at the very end, like where his one-armed friend was just like waiting for the roof to open. He's like, "Fuck it," and just hits the button and burns all those motherfuckers alive. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like that stuff. I think even though Naomi's arc was definitely probably is the best part of like the series overall. I think Amos didn't really ever get too much attention in the series overall, so I'll give him the hit for this season. They did him well.
Yeah, my hit is also the Earth storyline. Very ironic because the whole reason I like The Expanse is because of how they treat space, but this season the only saving grace is how they treat Earth. The Amos Earth storyline felt like a very good season of The Walking Dead. Not because there are zombies, but because of the way the story was written and presented on camera. It starts out like, oh, we're in this underground bunker. Amos is visiting this chick that is a really great friend that's in life in prison, and he feels bad, and like the planet's bombed by the meteors, and oh, now it's escape from the underground prison. And that whole part was really compelling. Like the whole like, oh, will she turn on him? She is a mutant. She can murder everyone at any time. Like that whole aspect of her character with Amos and like how tough of a guy Amos is, but Amos can't do anything against her if she wants to kill him. Not a damn thing. She's a mutant. So like that whole dynamic between those two, them escaping the prison, getting to the top, then like going on like this Walking Dead style traveling arc through like the ruined, ashes of civilization, getting to the point where they get to that guy's house and like the guy's like defending his house, very Walking Dead style. Like he shows up with the gun, like, what are you doing here? And like them taking him out and taking his house over, and then eventually going to this like rich compound where they find a spaceship that can get him off the planet. It was perfect. I loved that arc. I think that if the whole season was on that level, this could have been one of the best seasons of the show. But
that's why
episode
9 was Winnipesaukee, because it was the end of that storyline too. That's where those ships were at. That was Lake Winnipesaukee.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
now I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was great. And that being said, Broadcaster Nickels, what is your miss?
There's a lot of misses. It's just a matter of which one do you want to pick. I think the most glaring miss is what's her name in the first few episodes, the reporter chick. Why is she still in the series? She served no purpose other than being held as a hostage in the first 2 episodes, I think. That was it. Then she was just like, I'm coming aboard. And they were like, okay. And that was it. She had a couple throwaway lines where she was like trying to be important, and that was it. I don't get where they like waste money like that. There's this season clearly was competing for space. It was clearly competing on its low budget, and they had throwaway characters like that running amok in the story. Just seemed
running amok.
I'm honestly, it was between her or Philip, the actual son, because I hated his character's performance. I hate how he was written and all that stuff. But at least he served a purpose. He had some. Well, they wanted it to be a good purpose, but it was whatever. But nonetheless, the reporter served no fucking purpose. So yeah. I'm just going to say that's a complete fucking miss.
Yeah. Yeah, the reporter served no purpose. I didn't mind her acting, like the character's acting. I think it was just poorly written and just a bad role. Philip, on the other hand, is a pivotal role, and it was poorly acted and poorly written.
Indeed.
That being said, my miss is no Miller, no Ashford, lots of problems.
Yeah.
We went from having Miller as a permanent character in season 1, a permanent character in most of season. Let's be real about
half
this.
Of season 2.
He's the main character of season 1, and he's the main character of half of season 2. Then he dies and goes away. And then he comes back in season 3 as like this weird alien apparition version of himself in Holden's head. Great. Season 4, he comes back, also the same weird alien apparition in his head. He holds this show together like glue. He is gone in season 5. And oh man, can you feel the ramifications of that? The glue has been undone.
Yeah, you lose the purpose. The show lost its purpose.
It did. And then the belt lost its shepherd. Ashford was the best Belter character in the show by a billion miles. Most of the Belters are memes. They're not funny. They're not cool. You feel a little bad when you watch them because like you're like, what's wrong
Anderson
with these people?
Dawes was cool, but he was nowhere to be seen as well.
Yeah. There's a few okay Belters, but in my opinion, Ashford is the greatest Belter by a mile, by a country mile. And him not being in it, Miller not being in it, they could feel him. The impact it made on this season.
Last season. Ashford got he got kicked out the goddamn ship by Marco.
Right, and it's just without him and without Miller, the show loses a lot of oomph. I don't really know how to describe it, but you just can't explain how big of an impact those two not being in the season makes in this season. I think it's one of the main contributing factors to seasons 5 being just not being very good.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, but I mean, Thomas Jane is like the main reason I even watched the series to begin with.
It is the original reason I picked up the show was because I love Thomas Jane. The Punisher, man. Punisher's in this shit. And the Punisher's gone. He is gone. That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, what is your whiff?
I think the whiff probably going to be that shitty ass CGI fucking ship. The tease that they thought was going to like tide people over. They're like, sorry, this season sucked. It's like a postcard floating in the sky. They're like, see you soon.
Yeah. Some of the ship CG was legitimately worse than early seasons of Stargate SG-1 that aired in the year 2000.
For sure. Just the alien CG in general, like the little orange digital mist or worm vapor thing that like erases everybody as it passes through. That was lame as fuck too.
It was.
Like, it was so low budget. Especially after what you saw. Remember like the abstract shape creature from season 4 that crawled that just came out of nowhere? You're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like, I was waiting for some of that, more of that, you know?
We all were, and we never got it.
Yeah, sad.
It is sad. And what is also sad is my whiff, Broadcaster Nickels. And that is Alex Kamal getting Me Too'd off the show.
Knew that was coming.
What a way to ruin a show in its final seasons. Like, you just think like, okay,
couldn't leave it alone.
You have this show, it's based on books. You have pre-established character arcs. You're not just flying off your pants here. You're like, you have an arc that you are following. And you're just like, you know what? Nah, this guy may or may not have, had too rough of sex with some chick that is accusing him of, maybe not. Like, it's so like nebulous, the allegations against the actor that plays Alex Kamal. Like, they're not like really specific. It's not like, oh, he held me in a dungeon and raped me 15 times when I was chained to a wall. It's not that. It's much more like fucking, oh, well, I had sex with him and, he did something I wasn't super comfortable with for a few seconds, and I want to ruin his life now. That's kind of how it felt when I originally read the accusations, and I don't know if he's guilty or not, but either way, it is such a big whiff to totally ruin your show, because this guy might have done something a little untoward towards a date on some random night. It's a disgrace. You have left a permanent pox on this show. You have left a permanent red mark on this show for no reason. 15 years from now, even if he is guilty, no one gives a fuck. You're painting a portrait. You're making a piece of art that is going to exist through time, and you are sabotaging it for a few woke points with a crowd of people that don't even watch your show.
I wonder how many people would fucking respect Leonardo da Vinci. They actually met him in person, you know?
None.
You know, or like
Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah,
None.
you know, it's like these people hired whores and fucking had syphilis and fucking
Mozart. None. It's sad, dude. It's so sad. We just watched the sabotage of this show, and it can't be understated how short-sighted and myopic that choice was. But as you know, Broadcaster Nickels, here on the Crack Cellar, we do have an official, patented Nick Cage rating system. On that system, how do you rate Season 5 of The Expanse?
It's hard to say, you know, because after 5 long seasons, you know, we've been with it for a while. I want to say I could give this season a rock.
Ooh.
Want to say I could give it maybe even a Con Air.
Damn.
But fortunately, after long consideration, I'm going to give it a Ghost Rider.
Oh. Damn, dude. You went from Con Air to Ghost Rider in a second.
I wanted to know its potential and where it fell.
You've given a lot of Ghost Riders this year. It's interesting. It's not a good year from Broadcaster
Been
Nickels.
a lot of Ghost Riders. I mean, it could possibly be a Wicker Man. You know, all revised. All right,
possible Wicker Man. Okay,
it's a possible. It's after considerable deliberation. It's a Wicker Man. I'm gonna give it a C.
That was a very eventful 1.5 minutes of podcasting there. We went from every rating on the book except for a face-off.
Yeah, which it's relevant, which I will not go near right now because it is holier than ever.
Well, Broadcaster Nickels, I agree with your final rating. I will give it a Wicker Man. It is very poor. It is not a good season of The Expanse. It is not a good season of science fiction in general. But it's aight. You know what I mean? Like, I watched it and I was like, okay, like, I'll keep watching. It was okay, but you watch it and you're just like, man, when you have followed the show from the beginning, you cannot help but be supremely disappointed. Coming off of season 4, especially.
Yeah.
With this season. Like, it's just such a letdown in every way possible. And the few shining moments of this season, I would compare to the show The Walking Dead, which I'm not very happy with either right now. So it's like...
You're not happy with The Walking Dead? That's a way to describe it, I guess.
I'm trying to be politically correct, okay, Broadcaster Nickels? But yeah, I give this a... I'm going to actually say a weak Wicker Man. I agree with you that this could borderline into Ghost Rider pretty easily. But I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt only because of the Amos storyline.
What's in between Wicker Man and Ghost Rider? Bangkok Dangerous?
That's a good one.
Give it a C-, which is technically a Bangkok.
Well,
that should be good. You know, in the future, maybe we should make a sub-rating system. Squeeze in some more of those Nick Cage gems. We'll be like IGN. It's a 5.8 after careful deliberation.
And on that note, Broadcaster Nickels, I think it's time we close out.
Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum.